think this is a very dangerous mix of ideas. I describe it as maybe the worst part of socialism combined with the worst sides of capitalism.
Se siguen acumulando las preocupaciones sobre cómo futuras emergencias como pandemias, crisis climáticas, ciberataques y eventos inesperados podrían ser utilizados para imponer un control global más estricto bajo una plataforma de emergencia. Vean lo que dice aquí Arthur Liandol. Él es presidente del Foro Internacional sobre el Medio Ambiente y alto funcionario retirado de la ONU Medio Ambiente. Ahora es asesor de primera línea de esa misma organización.
Esa es la realidad a la que nos enfrentamos. A veces pienso que quizá la mejor solución al cambio climático sería un invierno nuclear durante unos años para enfriar el planeta muy rápidamente. Y tal vez a largo plazo, eso sería más interesante que cualquier otra solución que se intente en este momento.
Bueno, ahí tenían a este hombre que no precisamente está dándonos ideas constructivas. Quiere un invierno nuclear para que por fin entendamos la preocupación que debemos tener sobre el cambio climático. Imagínense, esta es la gente que está asesorando a la ONU. Miren, hoy vamos a tener con nosotros al célebre escritor y también pues es famoso investigador sueco Jacob Nordangård, conocido por su trabajo en temas relacionados con la geopolítica, la economía y estructuras de poderes globales. Él es PhD en tecnología y cambio social de la Universidad de Linköping en Suecia, y su investigación y trabajo se centran en analizar las dinámicas del poder global, las influencias tecnológicas y los cambios sociales a nivel mundial. Es fundador de Faros Foundation, que es una organización dedicada a investigar y analizar temas de interés global, incluyendo el impacto de organizaciones internacionales y corporaciones en la política y la economía mundial. Estamos hablando de un hombre que ha escrito ya varios libros. Recientemente, hace 2 años, escribió uno extraordinario sobre temas como el cambio climático, la gobernanza mundial y las conexiones entre entidades privadas y públicas en esa formulación de políticas globales, básicamente ingeniería social. Su trabajo se centra en analizar cómo las élites y las instituciones influyen en los eventos mundiales y decisiones políticas. Hoy vamos a hablar de temas muy, muy interesantes. Yo quisiera antes, invitarlos, amigos, si son tan amables, recuerden no solamente unirse al canal como miembros si lo desean y recibir contenidos exclusivos, sino también suscribirse y activar la campanita. Eso es muy importante para nosotros, que ustedes activen la campanita para que reciban las notificaciones. Es muy, muy importante. Muchos están suscritos, pero no reciben nuestras notificaciones cuando estamos saliendo en vivo o cuando estamos publicando trabajos. Entonces recuerden, tienen miembros del canal donde tienen contenidos extraordinarios, tienen la manera de suscribirse y sobre todo activar la campanita. Así que gracias por eso. Les decía entonces que vamos a hablar aquí de varias cosas con él. Entre una de las cosas que vamos a hablar es de la religión Baya o Bahá'í, que es una religión que tiene una relación de alguna manera con el Great Reset. Hablamos de una religión que promueve activamente la idea de un gobierno mundial unificado. Y Jacob pues además expone ahí su preocupación de cómo esa alianza entre la ONU y Davos, el Foro Económico de Davos, pues busca fusionar los aspectos más negativos del socialismo con los aspectos más negativos del capitalismo en una asociación para gestionar la crisis y aplicar agresivamente los objetivos que ellos se plantean, los famosos objetivos de desarrollo sostenible. Así que empezamos. Before I delve into my questions about the Great Reset, through your articles, I learned something very curious, and I wanted to ask you about it. There is a religion that promotes the need for a world government?
Yes, it is. Well, quite a few religions have these ideas, but especially one that I talk about. But I found out not so long ago, actually, and it's the Baha'i faith. And the Baha'i faith was, it's a religion. I think it's one of the newest religions in the world, founded during the 19th century in Persia, Iran, and as an offshoot of Islam, actually. And then it became its own it was like heretic for the Sunni Muslims in Iran. And now they have their headquarters in Haifa, Israel. That's also very interesting. But they actually have, or the main promoter of this religion, his idea is we have to unite all the religions of the world and unite the world into a world religion, a world government.
Well, I've been reading your articles. I'm a big fan, and I thank you so much for your time and for being here. And I want to ask you, what do you consider the alliance between the World Economic Forum and the United Nations under the framework of Great Reset to be a toxic cocktail that represents a serious danger to humanity?
Yes, I really do, because I think this is a very dangerous mix of ideas. I describe it as maybe the worst part of socialism combined with the worst sides of capitalism. It's like forming a global public-private partnership that will be used to further the Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2030. And this is also the idea of crisis management. That is something that is at the core ideas, and also we find we have the partnership signed in June 2019, and only like in March 2020, the pandemic was declared by WHO, part of the UN system, and it is the connections between WHO and the World Economic Forum, of course, is deep. The pharmaceutical industry is a part of this, and just 1 year after the partnership was signed, the Great Reset was declared, with an idea to reshape the world according to the ideas and beliefs of these people that thinks that they are more fit to run the world as trustees of the material universe, as the World Economic Forum refers to.
Yeah, and can you try to describe what components of this specific alliance contribute to this risk, and how it will affect different sectors of society?
Well, the partnership, because it's about Agenda 2030 and the 17th Sustainable Development Goals, and because of this, these goals affects everything. It's about everything in society, from the human resources, us, to the physical resources of the world. And the agenda is to manage this. So it's, as United Nations states, we won't leave anyone out of this. Leave no one behind. That's something that came out of Agenda 2030. It's a big part. Nobody on the globe will be out of this system. Well, I think that might be impossible, but the more developed part of the world will be a part of this, and they are also trying to with technology transfer to include and also money transfers, because that is one of the stated objectives of Agenda 2030. It's to have equality between countries, and so that's a part of this. We from the rich world will give to the poor world in order to create this digital system that eventually will run everything, because that's a very, very big part of this partnership. Everything is about digitization. It's about collecting data and analyzing data in order to manage all the processes of the world to make them sustainable. It can, for example, one of the ideas is to have a kind of a scoring board for nations, for companies, and cities. And that, of course, includes us as individuals. With scoring boards is you can say that it's a kind of a social credit system.
Better score, better I don't know, incentives. I don't know. I guess. I wanted to ask you about they talk about capitalism reset and a new social contract.
Yeah.
What exactly are they referring to in your mind? I mean, in your interpretation?
Well, we have had social contracts before in nations, for example. We have a kind of, what are the states supposed to give us, and what are our responsibilities? And with this new social contract, this is a global contract. This is what we are as humans supposed to do to make the world sustainable. So it will take it to a global level.
Yeah, I understand. And recently we read something about perhaps the best solution to climate change will be a nuclear winter for a few years. We recently heard and saw this statement from a senior United Nations advisor.
The reality that we're facing. I sometimes say, well, maybe the best solution to climate change would be a nuclear winter for a few years to cool down the planet very quickly. And maybe in the longer term, that would be in a better interest than any other solution that's tried at the moment. We went through this World War I and World War II already. And, we're looking as though we're maybe heading towards another major crisis, which may mean that the whole system will collapse. And therefore, we're saying, what do we build after that process of crisis and collapse that we're looking in the eyes at the moment?
How could anyone come up with this? I mean, what do you think is the cause of this?
That's very interesting. We started to talk about the Baha'i faith. Actually, this top advisor to the United Nations is a part of something called the Climate Governance Commission. So they are given advice to the United Nations for the upgrading of the new system. And he states during they have his meetings. You can watch this on YouTube. Their meetings, the Global Governance Forum, it's called. And during this discussion, they talk about how about if the world don't want to make these new arrangements, what if member states will say no? How can we do it? So he says that, well, during the First World War, or after the First World War, we had the League of Nations. It was the war that made the League of Nations. It hadn't been a possibility before. So it was a war that made the nations decide we have to have a peace organization. The League of Nations was not a success, but it was an embryo. So ideas could be tested. The next stage was the United Nations. It came out of the Second World War. Preparations for this started before the war. Council of Foreign Relations, the War and Studies project, the ideas for Bretton Woods system, everything had been prepared and discussed during the war in a couple of meetings. And I mean, before even the war had ended, United Nations was born. And so he says that maybe we could have a new war, a third world war. And during that time, we could build up a new organizations that could take over a new United Nations. And the nations of the world could then come along and join this. And as you started with, he also said that maybe the best solution for the world would be an atomic war with a nuclear winter, because this could cool off the planet and make it easier to make it sustainable in the future. So it's just listen to this. It's very frightening, and because I mean these are the people that are deciding the future development on a global level, and it's like they are total madmen.
Mr. Jacob, I guess you and me and a lot of people that are watching this, our subscribers, your subscribers, so many people, we are enemies of this type of guy, you know, this UN advisor. But who else do you think it can be their enemy? I mean, in an organization, a country, a nationalism. I don't know if you understand my question. I know we can be their enemies, the masses that wake up. But you recognize a big social organization or a big government of somebody who can be also their enemy?
The thing is, my conclusion about this is it has to be from the bottom up. It has to be a movement of people, individuals that are doing this, because every big organization is very easy to infiltrate, take over, and steer in a direction that will be either you will work for them in the end, or it can be dismissed as lunatic, because ideas are put into this that is just as insane as this advice of the United Nations. So I think it's very, very, we shouldn't take, I mean, we could have some leaders that says good things, and but not put trust into one organization or one leader, that it will never lead any to any good, because I think it's like the Animal Farm of George Orwell.
Yeah, I totally understand you, and I completely agree with that. You know, in January 2024, they met in Davos and called the conference "Rebuilding Trust." Why? And why do you think it is a group of psychopaths also?
Yes. Well, a lot of people don't have trust in them anymore.
Mhm.
And I mean, that is because of what happened during the pandemic. A lot of people started to ask questions. So naturally, they have to do something about this. But it's but the thing is, if you want to gain trust, you have to earn it. So it's almost an impossible situation for these people. And as I have talked about before, I usually go back to Ivy Lee and what he said to John D. Rockefeller at one time, that you have to stick to the truth, because people will find out in the end. But these people who thought that, okay, we can, if we decide what is true, if we run the universities, the media and everything, we can frame it and decide what is perceived to be true. And that is the same thinking we have now with this rebuilding trust. Because nothing what the things that they want to that it is very, very crucial and important for the agenda, like climate change and health agenda, as we know, it's built on lies. It's not sound science. It's absolutely the opposite. And now they to rebuild trust, it's like they will fight disinformation, misinformation, malinformation. And it's like what we are actually doing is trying to fight the truth. And that it can't lead to anything good for them. We will try everything, but it's like it will not work with whatever they put in, because I think it's a greater power but we have in our possession. We don't have technology like they have. We can use technology, of course. We can talk, and they have given us actually some opportunities to share this. But we share truthful things, and they only have lying and trying to shut down, and it can't work because truth will always find a way. It's like they are trying to. I refer sometimes to water in the mountains. That melts from the mountains. It comes a stream, and a lot of small streams goes later into a river, and it's got huge. And all they can do, and that's like the truth. A lot of streams coming together, and they can try to build like this dam. Yeah, exactly. But eventually it will break. It can't hold all that water. The water wants to the ocean. It wants the truth. It will find its way eventually. And trying to build this dam will only make it worse for them in the end, because it was just everywhere.
Yeah, and can you explain to us in simple terms, to regular people, perhaps with an example, how the alliance between the public and private sectors, specifically between the World Economic Forum, the UN, and large corporations like Microsoft and MasterCard, will be carrying out the most important social engineering operation in history?
The thing is that World Economic Forum, they started early than I imagined, with setting up groups with big corporations called global shapers. And in every area you could think of. So shaping the future of health, shaping the future of sports, shaping the future of industry, and so on. And invited United Nations into these groups. And they are have talked in these groups on how to achieve these agendas. How will we do it? And that is when United Nations comes. United Nations is the ones that will set up the alarm. Now we have a crisis. We have to do something. This activates these groups at the World Economic Forum that are prepared. They are prepared for an eventual crisis. And as we saw during the pandemic, it was medical corporations, so they could invest and be in the forefront with manufacturing what was needed. And like pharmaceutical products, the vaccines and everything was already prepared. And this is something that we are doing on a lot of other areas as well. And one big part of the futures agenda that will be decided at the United Nations this September is a kind of it's called the Pact for the Future. And this is a major formalizing of this, because in this they have a part called an emergency platform. An emergency platform that will be triggered if the UN Secretary General decides now we have this big crisis. And then this group will just be convened and act in unison. And it's stated also that this could mean that human rights have to go. Because this is a very serious crisis, like martial law in a country, but now it will be global. So it's a very, very serious thing, and as I said, it's toxic because it's these people with a lot of power and money and interests with in these corporations that are running this.
Mr. Jacob, you've been writing books and investigating, I guess, your whole life, and you're writing a book right now. It's about to be released, I guess, soon. And I wanted to ask you, when they talk about the next emergency, to then force a new reality, do you expecting a new pandemic or more like a World War III?
I guess it could be a combination of crisis, because in this, they have released, the United Nations have released a policy brief called about this emergency platform, and they list 7 possible crises.
Ahí hacemos una pausa, amigos, cuando el doctor Jacob habla de esta posibilidad de una tercera guerra mundial, que tendrá muchos elementos combinados, que no será una sola fórmula, que serán varios elementos jugando en el mismo plano. Bueno, para comentarles de nuestro seminario, cómo será el próximo conflicto global. Como saben, tenemos 6 meses tratando de poner este documento en sus manos, investigando y buscando la manera de que usted tenga una aproximación a cómo será un evento como este, que no se va a parecer en nada a Hollywood. Estamos intentando explicar de la mano de los expertos cómo serán estos eventos, cómo van a influir en tu vida cotidiana, en tu economía, y cómo puedes prepararte, cómo te puedes anticipar. Sobre todo si lo entiendes, puedes ganar tiempo en tu preparación y que no te vuelva a agarrar sorprendido, pues, como te agarró posiblemente el COVID o el 11 de septiembre o tantas cosas, ¿no? Así que te invito a que veas este video y recuerda que si te quieres unir a ese seminario, bueno, está en el mercurioN.com o también en la descripción y en el comentario fijado. Veamos.
A mi juicio, lo relevante, ya estamos en la Tercera Guerra Mundial. Yo no sé qué están esperando.
¿Sí?
¿Quién lo va a dictaminar? ¿El INE? ¿Quién?
Estamos a las puertas de una tercera guerra mundial.
La Tercera Guerra Mundial puede que haya empezado y nosotros no lo sabemos.
Creo que estamos en la Tercera Guerra Mundial, y el punto álgido del ciclo Kondratiev hacia 2030.
La siguiente guerra no será como la pinta Hollywood y no tendrá nada que ver con lo que presenta la perenne exageración mediática. Estamos montados ya en un conflicto híbrido y asimétrico, pero seguimos esperando una declaración de guerra universal. Vemos el aumento de tensiones geopolíticas como el conflicto ruso-Ucrania, China-Taiwán. Vemos ciberataques devastadores y una guerra de desinformación profunda. Vemos al mundo en una encrucijada muy peligrosa. Vemos también avances en tecnología militar, crisis económica, sanciones severas y la competencia feroz por recursos naturales, y todo esto se combina con la creciente polarización social y el resurgimiento del nacionalismo. China acapara materias primas, Estados Unidos envía armas a Ucrania y autoriza ataques en Rusia, Europa incrementa su presupuesto militar y Rusia despliega armas en Cuba. Nadie habla de paz, mientras todos se preparan para un conflicto sin precedentes. Vamos a tratar de vencer el sesgo de normalidad, ya tú sabes, esa tendencia cognitiva en la que las personas creen que las cosas siempre seguirán como están y subestiman la posibilidad de eventos disruptivos. Y nos vamos a preparar con cada vez más y mejor conocimiento. Únete a nuestro seminario, que es el resultado de 6 meses de investigación para entender las tácticas modernas, pero sobre todo cómo funcionan las economías de guerra y su impacto en tu vida cotidiana, cómo te puedes adaptar. No te pierdas esta experiencia reveladora y obtener herramientas cruciales para prepararte física, emocional y sobre todo psicológicamente. Reserva tu puesto ya.
And I mean, you find the climate change is one of them. Pandemics, biological agent, and
Cyber attacks.
also cyber attacks. Yes, and we have with international trade, for example. And in an event of a war, it will be shut down. I mean, it's severe consequences now where nations don't have, they are not independent anymore. They are interdependent. They're dependent on other nations for their survival. So it can be very, very severe. And we also talk about an outer space event. Could be an asteroid or something like that, but it also leaves possibilities for whatever you can imagine coming out of a sci-fi world. And the last is a black swan event, and that is kind of something that we can't really know anything about. A surprise. So and in a world war, all of these crises could happen at the same time, and that is the time when we could have this emergency platform step in as a global authority, declare martial law, and decide that we have to manage world affairs from the global level and put no democracy, nothing, until we have solved the issue. And it could take a long time. Yeah. They actually have scenarios made for these things that were developed like in 2002. A report came out, the promises and lures of the times ahead, by the Great Transition Initiative, supported by Rockefeller Foundation and United Nations. They talked about the possibilities of this, a kind of a fortress world scenario where United Nations and the big corporations, the military, would go together and kind of creating a global dictatorship. With and use technology, high tech, surveillance and so on in order to curb the crisis of the world.
Yeah, I only have two more questions. And remember, guys, you will have the link of Mr. Jacob Substack below in the description and also in the comments. So please go there. You will find a great content, and I recommend it. And I urge you to go there and listen and read, because it's worth it. Only two more questions, Mr. Jacob. The one is, you mentioned that the Great Reset could constitute a serious danger to the health of humanity. Could you explain this statement further? I mean, what are the specific public health risks that you identify?
Well, the specific thing is that this is a kind of a global takeover. I described it in my book that comes out in September, like a global coup d'etat. And it's like what I described before. It is all our human liberties are taken from us.
Yeah.
In order to make us sustainable, and it's will not be a happy place to be in if you're not commit to the rules of the overlords. And also with all these crises, with all these things happening, if we have a new pandemic, for example, we know what happened the last time. And this time we also talk about biological agents. It could be a price in life that comes with this.
Yeah. I understand. And is there a, or do you believe is there a climate emergency?
And no, I don't think it's a real climate emergency. The thing is, I started out with the climate change issue and the roots to this, because I found out it's like 2006. I was a student in geography, and I was doing a background paper about how the climate, what's the climate science, and found that the press and the politicians, they talk about this as a fact. When I was looking it up, it was no facts, it was just models. There was no science behind it, no real science. I mean, if we have a warmer world, it's not because humans, it's not human CO2 emissions. We could have a human intervention in climate. I mean, technologies exist for this, but it's not we as humans that with the burning of fossil fuels that are creating a global warming. I ruled that out totally, and then I started to investigate the background, who are behind the climate religion, so to speak, and found to my big surprise that big foundations that were built with money from the oil business, the automobile business, airplane industry, etc., were involved in setting this up and making it the big issue for the world. So this is so the climate crisis that they talk about is only a means to achieve this this digital world brain that they really want to create.
Yeah, and I guess that will be the name of your next book, right? The Digital World Brain or something. Yeah, right.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The Digital World Brain. It's all really. It was released in Swedish in 2022, so it's translated now in English, but
Okay.
not released yet.
Okay.
And I also have another book that is coming up as well.
If this battle of good against evil were a soccer game, and if you can do that, this exercise, what minutes will we be, and who will be winning right now? I don't know if you understand the question, but it's just the end, and I wanted to ask you.
I mean, if it's a soccer game,
yeah, yeah. If this battle between evil and good, if were a soccer game, what minute will be in, and who will be winning right now?
Well, the thing is, evil can never win over good. That's an impossible. It's impossible. It's just we have these sides. We have had this soccer game like always. So it's not that, and it's like this evil side think this time we will beat them. We have now we have a better team of players. Now we understand. We won't fall into the traps this time, and but it's like the Tower of Babel. It's we have that story in the Bible, didn't end well, and it's a reason that it's in the Bible. It's a lesson to learn. But it also, it's very, very interesting to listen to some of these people, that is because I was running this techno religion. I mean, these people I don't think they see themselves as evil. They see themselves as, no, we are going to do this better. We are going to make God's creation a lot better than it is now. It's our duty to further evolution, and that is a religion for them. But it's like trying to beat if you have a computer game and you are one of the avatars in the computer game, and you decide, I'm gonna try to overrun the creator of this computer game. And I think who runs this computer game has thought about this. So the avatar will never succeed in getting out of a system that they don't have created themselves. So it's impossible.
It's been a wonderful, well, for me, at least, it's been a wonderful 35 minutes. I really enjoyed, Mr. Jacob. I really thank you for your job. You're one of those guys that guide us. I don't know if you know it, but we read you, and we encourage you to keep doing your job and investigating, because it's really important for us. And I'll tell you, people, go to his Substack. It's amazing, and it's a light, that can lead us a little bit at where we are and where we're going to. So thank you so much, and I hope we can have you again.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the support. I'm very grateful for having the opportunity to be on the channel, and also for all the kind words and feedback. It's great in the heart.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and see you guys next week, okay? Bueno, gracias por estar con nosotros. Recuerden, amigos, es muy importante para nosotros. Estamos también con nuestra posibilidad, que te brindamos, de que te unas como miembro del canal y tengas contenidos exclusivos, y sobre todo que nos ayudes. Una manera de ayudar al canal a que se mantenga vivo y creciendo. Por otro lado, suscríbete, te lo pedimos, pero sobre todo activa la campanita para que te lleguen las suscripciones. Eso es muy importante, que actives esa campanita y nos ayudes, pues, a seguir creciendo. Así que gracias por estar con nosotros. Ya nos vemos la próxima semana.